Hey, Elise, I'm glad you liked the cameo. You ask a complicated question. So, yes, William loved poetry, but Spike, when William became a vampire and became Spike, he lost all interest in poetry because he was a vampire. He was soulless. I think once Spike got his soul back, there would be an interest again in language and in poetry. But if Shakespeare became a vampire, I think he'd be like Spike and he would lose his interest in poetry. He wouldn't be like, oh, I wrote a bunch of stuff, whatever. Well, he wouldn't care about it anymore. So, like, I can imagine, like, Spike with a soul meeting Shakespeare, vampire Shakespeare without a soul, and Spike would be totally geeking out, like, oh my God, you wrote the most amazing language, it moves me. And like, Shakespeare would be like, oh, I don't care about that. It was all crap anyway. No, it wasn't. It was amazing. Ah, get off it, Spike. If Shakespeare, vampire Shakespeare with a soul met Spike without a soul, Spike would just eat him. He would immediately eat him. He wouldn't care at all. But so the only thing is, if they both were vampires with souls, I think that Spike would be constantly trying to impress Shakespeare, which would be impossible. And he would be constantly angry at Shakespeare for not being impressed with his poetry. So Spike would be like, oh yeah, I wrote this one. What do you think about this one? Shakespeare like, it's not bad. It's fine. What do you mean fine? It's freaking genius. Well, maybe not genius is the word. So... So I think that they would have a lot of friction. No matter what. In all of those permutations, they don't get along very well. But yeah, Spike with a soul would geek out over Shakespeare for sure. Okay, bye. Hey, Elise, it's James. Great question. I was just playing a little video game this morning. What was it? Ghostwire. It's a new game I'm playing. Really pretty good, actually. It takes place in Tokyo. Yeah, so it would depend on what kind of game. So if we're playing a single player game and we're taking turns, I would have to, I would, I think of playing video games with Spike and Captain John like playing a video game with a easily frustrated tiger, like, because they're dangerous people and they lose their temper pretty easily. They're fun, but they can kill you if they get mad. So if we're playing single player, I would have to like help them if they're getting stuck. I would have to say, well, why don't you look over there? Or, you do have this button that'll, put the compass up and you can go there. But then they can't smell that, I can't seem like I'm looking down on them or anything. It would be and I can't give too many hints or tell them what to do because that would be frustrating too. So that would be a real balancing act. If we were playing multiplayer, I'm not very good at multiplayer. I think I probably told you that. But I'm probably better than Spike or Captain John. Let's just assume that I'm a little better than that. So in the old days, you play multiplayer together in the same room, in which case I would have to let them beat me. And that would suck. Because if I beat them, then they would kill me. So that would be bad. But the delicious thing is the new multiplayer is online and we're not in the same place. So as long as they didn't have my home address, I could just wail on them and watch them or listen to them freak out and lose it. And that would be delicious. Okay, great question. Bye. Hey, Elise, it's James. Thanks for reaching out again, love. Um, Yeah, I finished Ghostwire, and now I am playing a PlayStation exclusive called Horizon Forbidden West, which is the follow-up to the massively successful Horizon Zero Dawn. And you play as a little tiny Aloy, and all she's got is a bow and arrow, and she's fighting robot dinosaurs. It's awesome. It's such a good game. The graphics are so amazing. But to your question, the voiceover for Aloy drives me insane because she's not very careful with how she's pronouncing the words. Like she's got mush mouth, man, and I cannot understand her. And I play the game, and most of the time I am saying, What did she just say? What? And I'm trying to figure it out, and it takes me out of the game. I fantasize about going to Guerrilla Games, the people who make this, and just say, look, when you're watching an actor in a movie and you can see their mouth, their natural mouth, it's giving you a lot of clues about what they're saying. And so in film, it's less important to have good diction. But when you're on stage and your mouth is that big, or when you're doing cartoons and the mouth is not fully animated, or when you're doing video games, and for any reason, if you're acting and the audience cannot closely watch your mouth, you have to be a little more careful about pronouncing the words so everyone can understand you. And I'm being taken out of such an otherwise perfect game by the frustration of wondering what the heck she just said. And also, if you play video games, the lead character is also giving you a lot of clues and information about the world. And some of what is said is very important. I'm about halfway through, and I just went into settings, and I just turned down her voice. I was just like, it's not worth it. I'll just figure it out some other way. And I'm enjoying the game much, much more. So, I'll bet that I'm more bothered by this than anyone else because I know what's possible and what the responsibility is for an actor and for a director when they're recording this kind of stuff. And I get it. There's a massive amount of dialogue for a lead in a video game. I get it. It's months in the studio doing all that. But that's the job, man. That's just the job. But I do recommend the video game. If you have a PlayStation, I would recommend it highly. It's awesome. Okay, hope you're well. Hey, Elise, it's James. That's the nicest things anyone said to me in a long time. That makes me so happy. I didn't really think that to be described as a friend of the LGBTQ community, it's the first time someone's described me that way. It makes me really happy. This is the thing. So I was a subversive theater actor, a theater producer. Back, I had a company in Chicago and Seattle, and we did a lot of, not exclusively, but we did a lot of subversive plays. And when you're doing subversion, you're not trying to piss people off, but you know when they get uncomfortable that it's working, because you're divesting the audience or trying to of lies that we get taught in childhood. Like violence works. You can buy your self-identity. Old people are boring. And I had a fun time doing it. But then I had a son, and I realized that I had to go try to actually make money. And I did really well in theater, but there's just not a lot of money in theater, certainly not parenting money. And so I came down to Los Angeles really planning to prostitute myself, just join the commercialism beast and try to support my family. And I ended up on a show. I was on Buffy first. And that was subverting the lie that women can't fight back. And I remember being in the back of a car with one of the original Star Wars actors, actually, and he was an older gentleman. He was angry about Buffy because he said that no woman that size could hit hard enough to defend herself. And I was like, My brother, I do a lot of my own stunts, and I'm fighting the stunt doubles for Buffy. They're the same size, and they're triple black belts, dude. They could kill us like that, you know. And we went back and forth for a while, and I finally asked him, I said, how tall was Bruce Lee? Just asking. And that was the end of my conversation with my Star Wars hero. And I was over the moon. I was so happy because I was face to face with someone that was made uncomfortable by what we were saying, and I knew that subversion was landing. And that was over. And then I went to Wales to film Torchwood, and I went out to dinner with the creator, and he said that Torchwood was his Buffy, and I didn't understand what he meant by that until I was filming I forget, it was raining, it was in Wales somewhere, and I was in a car getting interviewed by the BBC, and the interviewer said, so what do you think about the homophobic backlash against Torchwood? And he put the microphone in my face, and my response was, we have a backlash? Oh my God, we have a backlash, yes! And I stopped the interview, and I got out of the car and ran up to John. We have a backlash, John! And he's like, we know we have a backlash, but we also have a television show to film. Could you please be quiet? But I just from my perspective, that I have been on 2 shows that were telling the truth. And I think that the overriding truth is that we're all equal. We're all equal. Whether we clean hotel rooms for a living, or am on television for a living, whether we're gay or straight, whether we're old or young, we're all equal. And that has many different permutations. And the fact that something that I had something to do with helped you be yourself proudly, you've made my day. You've probably made my month, man. Thank you for that. I really, really mean it. Okay, bye. Hey, Elise, it's Spike. James wanted me to reach out and wish you a happy birthday. Happy birthday, love. Glad you were born. James is a bit of a prat, but he thought I should do something for your birthday. Special something. So here goes. I understand that you Happy Meals enjoy a bit of a ditty sung to you on your birthday. So I'm gonna give it a go. Here we are. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Elise. Happy birthday to you. And many more.